This is how I moved to Asia and DJ at one of Bali's biggest nightclubs and one of the biggest nightclubs in the world. Hey everyone, if you don't know me, my name is Cass and I'm a music producer and DJ from Canada. I go by the name Faja. I've worked with record labels like Dimmock, Armada, Spinnin' Records, and had my tracks played all over the world at EDC, Tomorrowland, Ultra Music Festival, a bunch of places. I'm going to tell you today my story of how I moved to Asia about a year ago and started DJing all over the place and collaborating with people out here. In order to properly tell the story, I gotta give a lot of context, I think. So I've been a music producer and DJ for about 10 years, but I think more seriously for about 5-6 years, because I started in high school and honestly messed around a lot. Didn't really put that much time into it, I'd say. 2 years ago, I felt like I just wasn't really growing that much in my career. I was actually semi-debating going back to university, or actually going to university because I never went, and doing other stuff. And I remember there's this artist called Cheyenne Giles. If you don't know him, he's pretty good. And he'd done an interview on a local podcast when he played a festival in my hometown. And one of his biggest pieces of advice was do a lot of remixes, do a lot of service for DJs. You know, that's one of the best ways to get yourself some traction. And so I'd really taken that seriously. So what I'd started to do was I pretty much remixed everything. I started initially with some of my classic favorite tracks. I think I'd done Share, Stereo Love, Heaven, a bunch of stuff. And basically, yeah, I started doing as many remixes as I could and just posting them on Hyped It, which if you don't know is a website that DJs use for discovering music. It's usually remixes, bootlegs. So I started posting my stuff a ton on there, every couple weeks, I'd say. And lately it's been pretty much every week. So I started doing that, and Cheyenne was right. I saw a ton of growth. Tons of people started playing my music, especially in Asia, which is key to note. A lot of these remixes were getting played in Asia. I was doing high BPM, high energy remixes that you would kind of hear in Asian clubs. It's definitely the style people love hearing, fast, high energy music. So after doing a ton of remixes, I started to get quite a number of DJs from across Asia following me on social media. They would also randomly tag me in Instagram stories of them playing my music in clubs in Singapore, Myanmar, Thailand, Japan, all over the place. That really helped develop my connection with the community, establish my name and my sound. And another big part of this too was that my friend House of Panda, who if you don't know owns Speed House Movement, he was repping a lot of my tracks while he was touring in Asia, and he also was repping my stuff on his record label, which happens to sign a ton of DJs from Asia. So another really key part of the story is that back in October 2022, my good friend House of Panda happened to move to Bali. He got an opportunity to become a resident DJ at one of the biggest nightclubs in Bali, which is actually one of the biggest nightclubs in the world. It's called Shishi Nightclub, and it's ranked top 40 or top 50 on DJ Mag. Basically, when he moved there, he was repping a lot of my remixes and some of our collaborations together, our originals. That really helped establish my name and connect with some of the local DJs there, as well as, more importantly, the owner, who's also a DJ and producer. His name is Brett Allen. Through Panda, Brett became familiar with a lot of my remixes and some of my originals, and even happened to play some in his sets, which was really cool to get that support. So fast forward to January 2023. I remember I woke up one morning with a text from Panda, and he told me that Bass Plus in Bangkok wanted to book me to play a DJ set for an event that was going to be hosted by Speed House Movement in collaboration with some local promoters. I was super psyched because that was actually my first Asia booking ever, first proper international booking ever, actually. And that was amazing. Not only was it in Thailand, it was at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Literally, it's massive if you see the size of it. So while we were messaging on that same day about me going to Thailand to play, he said, you should consider moving to Asia. You're getting bites here now, and Shishi actually kind of needs some more residents. You should come visit and check it out. So I thought, why not? I've always wanted to go to Asia, always wanted to move to Asia, and would be incredible. So basically, I bought a ticket to fly out about 2 months later to Bali, check it out, and see how I liked it. So I flew there. Bali was super nice, but to be honest, when I first got there, I felt I didn't want to move. I felt there'd be a lot of things that I maybe wouldn't like. I didn't really want to leave home as much as I did, but I also had my own internal resistance because I had never lived outside of my hometown before. I knew it was going to be a massive change, just felt overall unsure. By the end of the trip, I was actually thinking, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. So that last night, before I left, I had dinner with House of Panda and Brett Allen. I'll never forget this. I remember I sat with Brett and we were talking about me potentially moving, and he made a really good point. He said, if you go back to Winnipeg, what are you going to do?
Nothing. Just hanging around.
There's nothing else that's going to be there. It's like you might get gigs here and there locally. I knew the scene locally and across Canada is very hard to make it. I probably would just be at home all the time, just making music the way I was for a while. And honestly, that sold me. I was like, what do I have to lose? You know, obviously money and some time, but there is so much to gain. I can't just keep doing the same thing forever, staying at home. So after that talk, I went home with the intention that it's time to prepare. I'm going to be moving. And so about 2 months later, in May, I moved to Bali. So when I first got to Bali, this was actually kind of scary in some ways because, Brett made it very clear that if I can't do the job, I won't get booked again. So I knew there was a very strong possibility that I get there and I just got cut, which would suck because the visa for Bali costs a couple $1,000s, and so I would just have nothing if I got cut. Fortunately though, my first gig, it went well, and so I started DJing pretty much right away. I was DJing, I think for the first month, every single day for about 4 or 5 weeks, which was more than I ever DJed in my life. And it was also wild because I was now DJing for an international crowd. Every day it was different kinds of people from all over the world. So when I first got to Bali, it was actually kind of scary because not only did I move away from home for the first time to an entirely different country on the other side of the world, there was also a possibility that my job wasn't secured. Now, luckily though, my first gig, it went well, and it was crazy because I was DJing for international people, for people all over the world. It was people coming from Singapore, from India, from China, from the US, everywhere was coming to this place, and I had to play for these crowds every single day. So I feel I actually got really comfortable in Bali pretty fast. In about a month and a half, I already had a routine. I was doing Muay Thai almost every single day. I was DJing pretty regularly, and if you don't know, Shishi's crowd is very international. There's people from the US, from all across Asia, South America, everywhere would come to this club. I also had my go-to food places. I would eat smoothie bowls every single morning. That was my favorite thing. And I also developed a good group of friends. If you don't know, I do remixes a ton with Moji and Tane, and they both live in Bali. And so we would get together every single Tuesday and work on some techno, which was pretty fun. Another really cool thing was that I was there during dry season, which is about June until October, and that also happens to be busy season. There was literally people from all over the world packing Shishi every single night, and I had a ton of amazing times there. Played some really busy sets. I met people from all over the world, and it was honestly amazing. Honestly, some days I wish I could rewind the clock and redo that entire summer. It was a ton of fun, and there was a lot of days where I was waking up just happy to be alive. But that's not to say there wasn't some low points. It was 100% crazy sometimes, and I also almost died once or twice. But I think I'll save that part for another video. So if you have any questions about anything that happened or how I moved to Asia, feel free to ask. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff, and I will see you soon.